Hi everyone, so I decided to just put together this little model kit that I got online. I got this off Amazon for about £7. I think it was like £7.98, and I thought I'd put it together to see what it looks like. I will change it and give it the fumsmusings treatment, but I wanted to just see what it looked like first of all as is, and then I'll show you in the next video how I change it and give it my sort of look. So it came with this printable, which is the wallpaper. So I just stuck that into place. I'm just using hot glue for this because it's nice and easy. It sticks it quite quick and it dries quick. I don't want to have to wait ages for something to dry. So I stuck the background on first and just trimmed off, because I did slightly misalign it, so I just trimmed off the excess. It was no problem, it was easy enough to do. The edges aren't going to be seen once it's in the frame anyway, because this is like a shadow box frame, and once the frame part's on the front of it you won't be able to see. The only thing I didn't do with this model is I didn't put the lighting rig in, because I pinched the lighting rig for another model that I made, one of my own. So there isn't any lighting in this, but because there's a hole in the top for where the battery pack and stuff would sit, light comes through it anyway. Then there was like a piece of paper that you can use to cover the ceiling, just to make it all one uniform colour. So I cut that out, stuck that on, and once I completed the sort of background and the flooring, then it was time to make the furniture. I found this like little shelving unit thing to be a bit fiddly, especially because it had the back was cardboard instead of well, printed paper instead of wood. And it didn't have like the little scallop sort of finish to the front of it was piece of paper as well, so I didn't stick that on. I just used the wooden parts. It was a bit tricky to line it up and get everything to stick straight, so I did have to re-glue a couple of times, but never mind, it was alright in the end. And there's a little white shelf, as you can see there, that I've stuck on. And then all I have to do is stick 3 beads on the front of it and put some bent wire in the beads, and that forms some little hooks, hanging hooks for hanging off anything that I want to add to the decor. So here what I'm doing is I'm working on removing the old glue from where I'd previously glued it and it had gone wrong, and then reapplying the glue again. It did come in this kit with like a little tiny bottle of white school glue, but I haven't got patience to wait for that stuff to dry, so I just use my hot glue. What I normally prefer, there's like a clear glue that's in these little model kits normally, depending on where they've come from, and it's almost like a super glue, like it sticks instantly. It's ever so good, but it doesn't completely stick to your hands. But I don't know what the stuff's called, but I haven't got any of that left unfortunately, so I'm just using what I've got. And I'm using hot glue, like I said, because it'll set a lot quicker. So yes, this was fiddly, but it was just a case of taking my time and putting all the bits together. I found this chair quite tricky to put together. It was a bit fiddly because of how many little tiny pieces there were, and it did keep falling apart 2 or 3 times, but I got there in the end. What I had to do was just stick one bit on, leave it to dry, and then stick the next bit on, and eventually it held together. I found a couple of times what happened is as I was holding it trying to glue on the next bit, I obviously applied slightly too much pressure and it would just sort of collapse. So the chair was fiddly. The table was dead easy, although it looked like on the original picture there was supposed to be a couple of blue pieces to go the length of it as well, but the 2 pieces I've got left over weren't big enough, unless I've stuck the chairs in the legs in the wrong place. So I just left them out, which is no problem. I'm not too particular about it being exactly the same as the picture on the box. As long as it looks like a little miniature room scene, I'm quite happy, just to tweak it. This chair was fiddly, and the fiddliest part was the seat covering. Even by separating the strands of the like fake straw stuff, there still wasn't enough to wrap the seat properly, so I had to get some from the other kit that I'd bought, because I bought 2 of these. One had just got slightly different furniture in. So yeah, there's been a bit of adaptation and a bit of tweaking and making my own stuff. I did get to a point once I made the furniture where I just thought, forget it, I made my own thing. Because one thing that I find annoying is if you make like little pots and jars out of paper and you're having to like roll pieces of paper up and stuff. So in the end, I just made it by cutting out the pieces of paper and rolling it around a glue stick and gluing it all down to make like jars and things. I hadn't got the patience to just sit there and try and fiddle about with folding up little pieces of paper and make it look right. So I did have a go at some stuff and tweak some things. But yeah, I didn't use everything that was in the kit in the end. But I'm quite happy with how it turned out. As you can see, when I first started to make the seat of the chair, I forgot to separate the 2 layers of this like papery twine. So what I had to do in the end was take it back off and separate it and then reapply it, which is what I did. And then, like I said, I had to pinch some from my other kit because there wasn't quite enough to wrap the chair how I wanted. And then once I made the chair and I stuck the furniture in position, and then it was time to make some of the little decorative items. So it came with this little wooden bead that was shaped like a ceramic pot. And then I stuck some of the fake plant in there, just using a little bit of hot glue. And I just cut off a little piece of it and stuck it in. And then I added a bit more just to make it look a bit more fuller. So that was like a nice simple decoration to make. And that stands on the floor by the chair. I did tweak how the potato sack was made. I just basically used the same fabric for the potato sack, but made it like I would make a cushion and then stuck the label on, instead of trying to gather it together right and tie it and stuff with the string that's on the picture. So yeah, I did. From this point, I'm pretty much just doing what I want to do now and just using the bits how I can use them to fill up the little scene. I liked this little red and white gingham pattern fabric, so I used that for the tablecloth. I thought it looked quite nice. I did have a go at making the milk jug, but that was very fiddly, so it looks a bit battered, but never mind. Like I said, I don't like ones where I've got to sort of roll up pieces of paper to make something, because it always ends up a bit crooked or gets squished. And as I'm starting to place stuff in, I decided that I did want to make the little basket to go on the table. And for the little basket that goes on the table, it was this little template which you fold and glue in position, and then you cover it with this like little mini Hessian looking fabric to create the little mini basket. So I quite liked how that one worked, so I decided to use that on the table. So what you need to do is you make sure you score along all the edges, like so, and that makes it easier for you to fold after. And then you want the brown on the outside, which you'll see me realise in a minute. But basically what you do is you pinch the corners together and then fold it inwards, like so, and then that forms the little sort of basket shape. It is a bit fiddly. What I would much rather do is have like a little piece of wood or plastic or something that I could just cover with the material to make the little basket, instead of folding this piece of paper. But obviously, I mean, this was a cheap kit. I mean, it was only £7 odd, so, you know, obviously it's been made with cheap materials, so that's fine. I was quite happy with this little kit. I think it's a great little kit. These sort of kits are fun if you just want to create something, you like doing little crafts, but you don't want to sort of make everything by hand yourself, as in, you know, cutting individual pieces of wood to make the pieces. At least with this, it's basically all flat pack, so you just all stick it together. And it's kind of like a 3D, the way I see it, it's kind of like a 3D jigsaw puzzle. So I do these when I want to just chill and relax. I haven't got to think too much about it. I just enjoy putting all the stuff together. So as you can see here, I'm covering it with this fabric to make it look like a little basket. And it's just a case of sticking the material down and then trimming off the excess. And just making sure that the sides are covered. The inside is going to have some material in it, so I wasn't too worried about this material being inside. That's why I still left it white. I suppose I could have just folded it with the brown on the inside, but I wanted it on the outside in case there was any little gaps in the fabric. And then it was a case of cutting some of this blue and white gingham fabric, and I fiddled about with this for ages, but once I finally got the right size piece, it's just a case of gluing it in and gluing the edges down. I wanted it to overlap over the edges a little bit, and the first piece I made was a bit too small, but you'll see later on I just had a slightly bigger piece and then start gluing it around, and that worked out just fine. And then I just trimmed off any excess from there. And the little blob of glue just holds it in place while I fiddle with the outside. So what I'm doing now is folding that over the edges, seeing where I need to glue it, seeing where I need to trim it, and then just adding a little blob of glue and making it stick. And sticking my finger to it at the same time. I would say if you've got unsteady hands, it can be a bit fiddly, and mine are sometimes unsteady. But with perseverance you get there. And then in that I was going to put a little piece of rolled up paper to kind of look like a little little piece of bread, and stuck in some of the fake foliage to make it look like some herbs or something that had been collected. And once I completed all the little pieces, it looked like this. I did change the bag design and I just made what I wanted to make to fill the rest of the room. And with the little front cover on, it looks like this. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.